Welcome inside our New York studios. Brent Stover, pleased to be joined by my good friends Kevin Carter and Beanie Wells. Alabama is the topic. The Tide entered the day having won 83 straight games at home against unranked opponents, the longest streak in the FBS over the last 30 years. Kalen DeBoer, though, could ill afford a loss today against the Badgers, and the Tide responded in a big-time way in Tuscaloosa early on. Danny O'Neal for the Badgers. The first of 2 interceptions thrown by him on the day. Bray Hubbard picks it off, and then 4th and 1. Jeremy Bernard had a monster day. Off the edge, gets to the pylon. Crimson Tide up 7-0.
Second quarter, 1st and 10, Alabama leading 7-0. And then Ty Simpson back to pass. Jeremy Bernard over the middle, 43-yard touchdown. And then Simpson off play action, fires into the end zone. Isaiah Horton for the 13-yard score. Crimson Tide lead 21-0.
Couple of end rounds, lead back to Simpson on the throwback. Look at the delayed pass to none other than Ryan Williams. And look at him go 75 yards to the crib. Him getting back on track today in a major way. The Crimson Tide lead 28-0. And Simpson yet again finds Williams. He catches the ball, makes a guy miss, and goes 41 yards this time to the end zone. Bama go on to roll 38-14.
This was impressive, and for Ty Simpson, 24-29, 382 and 4 touchdowns. Ryan Williams, 5 receptions, 165 and 2 scores. Bernard, 4 receptions, 62 and a score. He had the rushing touchdown as well. An all-around dominant effort for the Crimson Tide, who get to 2-1. They hammered Louisiana Monroe 73-0 last week. But this was the one that you circled based on how bad they were in the opener against Florida State. How big of a statement, Kevin, in your mind, was this indeed for Kalen DeBoer and his guys?
It was a step in the right direction, definitely inspired by how Ty Simpson was able to command the offense today, making use of those, weapons in the air. I mean, it was good to see that. But to me, the thing that was most comforting that I wanted to see from Alabama is the play along the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football, being able to open up holes in the run game and protect Ty Simpson when he dropped back to pass. But defensively, up front, when you're talking about rushing yards that are yielded by a front, the Alabama front seven today came to play. They came to make a statement that the last couple of weeks, maybe the first game was just an aberration. This is who they really are.
I love the fact that we got a chance to see Alabama get back to being a physical football team. Now, while they didn't rush the ball very well, they dominated on the defensive side of the ball in the trenches, slowing that Wisconsin run game, which traditionally is a powerhouse, to about 90-some-odd yards on the ground. I love that. And then we got a chance to see Ryan Williams get back on track. The big play wide receiver hadn't had a touchdown or a 100-yard game since last year, September 28th, when he put the world on notice versus Georgia. So to see him get back on a big track, a great track today was phenomenal. He's a guy that can take the top off of a defense on a consistent basis. I love everything that he possesses. For Alabama to be successful on the offensive end, it's going to be getting this guy to football early and often.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Kevin, did you want to add on with Ryan Williams? Because obviously when you've got a guy like that, you got to be able to find space, and they did today.
Well, they were able to utilize all that, but it's because of what they did up front. Now, am I sold on Alabama that they're back and all their, what we saw in the first couple of games wasn't a concern? No, because when you look at the remaining schedule for Alabama, it is daunting. When you have to run the gauntlet of an SEC schedule, there's a reason that 4 or 5 teams from the SEC and the Big Ten, respectfully, are going to get in the college football playoff. But, man, when I look at this murderer's row of teams that they got coming up, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, this will be the true test to see if Bama is truly back. So, look, Kalen DeBoer, you get a little bit of respite from the naysayers in Alabama land. Maybe the guys, on all these different shows may start, calling for your head and calling for your job. But this will be the true test. If you can go through this season, maybe have one loss through that murder stretch, then you'll find yourself in the college football playoff.
Well, Beanie, to Kevin's point, I'm glad you brought it up, and we showed the murderer's row of the schedule there. How big is it that now you get the bye week before that Georgia game? And it's not just that you get the bye week, but you're doing it not just off of a win, but a resounding victory. It does feel like you can breathe a sigh of relief now and maybe kind of enjoy the process over the next 2 weeks.
Typically, I'm not a fan of early bye weeks, but if I'm an Alabama football team, I'm a coach on that staff, I'm loving the fact that we get an early bye week because we get an opportunity to regroup. We get an opportunity to get back on track. And like Kevin just mentioned, they got a murderer's row coming up that they have to be well prepared for in all phases. So you want to go into that stretch healthy. You want to go into that stretch with a little bit more time to game plan for the tough opponents that you have right in front of you.
Let's flip it now to Wisconsin on the other side of things. And I know you've got some good numbers over the last couple of years. Luke Fickell, this was a home run hire for the Wisconsin Badgers, but it has not been anything close for the last few seasons and starting out this year as to what they expected.
Let me preface this. I love Luke Fickell. Luke was at Ohio State my entire time I was there. I think he's a phenomenal coach, but I do not understand what's going on there at Wisconsin. It's almost like he's changing the identity of what we all known Wisconsin football to be. That's tough, hard-nosed offensive line and defensive line play and being able to run the ball at an insane clip with all the phenomenal running backs that they had coming
on anyone.
On anybody.
Anyone. And
now we're watching them right now trying to be this air raid, this spread offensive style football team. It's not Wisconsin Badger football. And, you know, the question that I have is, will Luke Fickell be able to sustain this? I mean, we go back to last season, their first losing season since 2001. That's not very good when we talk about Wisconsin football because they're a team that's always at the top of the Big Ten. They're always going to be in a discussion for winning the Big Ten championship. In the last 2 years, going 7-6 and 5-7 is just not good enough. I think Luke Fickell definitely has to go back to the drawing board and get things back on track with this program.
Yeah, it's about how you can win at a particular place, right? In Wisconsin, you know, it's never going to be a place or for a destination that's going to have, five-star, talent at wide receiver and skill position coming in there. So you have to do it a different way. Now, when I watched them play against Alabama today, the one thing that I was encouraged of was their front seven. They looked good along the line of scrimmage, but offensively, it didn't translate. I didn't see that same toughness. Like you said, they used to be able to run on anybody. It didn't matter who they lined up against. That identity of toughness is what's missing from Wisconsin football, and I'm not sure they can win long-term sustained if they don't do that.
And they never lost like this. If they were going to lose games, they were going to be in dogfights. Maybe lose by 2 touchdowns, but not lose a football game where they were just completely outclassed on both sides.
And we talked about the schedule right there with number 1 Ohio State and number 4 Oregon looming. It's not going to be easy. How much did they benefit over all those years? And I want to take nothing away from this program. But playing in the Big Ten West for several years was a huge advantage as opposed to playing in the Big Ten East. And now it's easier to get exposed in this unbelievable power conference. It's like the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, because you didn't have, like Kevin just mentioned, Alabama's schedule, a murderer's row to go through on a year-to-year basis. You kind of got to pick and choose, and you had a team here that you necessarily had to worry about. Now, you look at Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. These are the top teams in the Big Ten that they have to go out and face. So to sit here and say you feel confident and comfortable with this team getting out unscathed and having a winning record and not losing one like they did last year, I don't know about that. It's going to be very tough for this football team.
This is why I love my job, because we get to actually commentate as we see college football evolve right before our very eyes. Look, we said, what is it going to mean for these superpower conferences to be formed nationwide? What's it going to mean for these teams? Well, Wisconsin, you see them being directly affected by not having the leaders and legends, right? Having the whole East and West thing necessarily. So that there are teams that they will see in a given season that they never had to worry about in season. They maybe face them in the Big Ten championship game. This is the evolution of college football, and you must be competitive from top to bottom, no matter who you are.
All right, that is the story from week number 3 in terms of Alabama and Wisconsin. So long from our studios in New York City for now.